Hi there, this is Dr. Cindy Schreiber, and we are working with 30 Days to Sobriety, and this is day 8. I am so excited when I read this chapter because I realized that this is something I used to say to my clients, my mother, my son, my daughter, to everybody. Why can't you just stop? Why can't you just quit the behavior? So, we're going to get into why they can't just stop. And this is very powerful. I knew that getting people to stop drinking or quit smoking or anything, I can do it with hypnotherapy, with the cigarettes, with food addictions. When you get into drug addiction, there's multi layers because there's a lot of PTSD that you have to deal with. There's a lot going on with people when they decide to use a drug to cover up their feelings, to mask their feelings. So this is why the 30-day program is working for people, because they are writing things out. So get your journals out again today. Make sure you do all of the steps before this one, or you can do this one, but then you have to skip back because this is built upon one lesson upon another. This is why you have all the tools in your toolbox to just quit. So let's get over why you can't quit. Now, willpower can produce short-term change, but it creates constant internal struggle because you haven't dealt with the root cause. Now, this is by Rick Warren. He's a pastor with the Purpose-Driven Life. And I would believe that you can produce short-term changes, but you have to get to the root of the problem with addiction. That's what there are so many sayings that say, how do I get through this, around this addiction? How do I stop? You get through it. You have to go through the steps. You have to look at yourself. You have to break open your ribs and go deep inside. That's right, deep in there and look, really look. Now, willpower is often considered one of the greatest predictors of individual success, but it's not always your greatest asset for sobriety. The why can't you just quit solution explains the importance of willpower and how you can build and leverage it. Okay? It also reveals the truth about why strong willpower can actually stop you from thriving. That's right. Have you ever tried so hard to fix something? So hard you were going to do it no matter what. No matter what, you were going to go ahead and get your goals met. And how did it work for you? Many times you fall flat on your face when you try too hard. I can think of many examples in my own life where I had to push it. I was going to get my way or else. And you know what? I got my way, but it wasn't the easy way, and it wasn't permanent change. It was creating more of this in me, that this stress, this anxiety, this pushiness, this control, and we don't want that. So what is willpower? Willpower is defined in the dictionary as a strong determination that allows you to do something difficult, such as lose weight or quit smoking. Isn't it telling that even in the dictionary, the definition of willpower includes an example of overcoming addictive behaviors? However, we prefer this definition from The Life You've Always Wanted by John Ortberg. Willpower is trying very hard to not do something that you want to do very much. We sure can relate to that. All addicts can. You say, I'll give up chocolate, and that's great until 2 o'clock in the afternoon when you eat it every day. And the willpower almost overcomes you, if it doesn't overcome you. Because habits, these are habits. How many times have you decided you're going to cut back on your usage, okay, of drugs or alcohol? Dave can't even count how many times he said, I'm going to quit, before his first sincere attempt. He had been through all kinds of rehab, and mostly 10 years later, when he was actually able to accomplish long-term sobriety. It was 10 years. During those years, he tried all kinds of ways to cut back. However, they all ended up the same. He went back to using at the same level within weeks or months. The interesting thing is that everyone who knew Dave thought of him as someone who had incredible willpower and persistence, always being able to follow through and do what he accomplished. But when it came to his drinking, he always failed. He was unable to leverage his willpower to quit drinking, as he had used it to power through other goals. This was hard for him to understand, and it also baffled his wife, who knew that Dave could accomplish anything when he sets his mind to it. That's right. After Dave had been sober for over 2 years, his wife asked him a question that plagues most loved ones of problem drinkers. Why weren't me and your daughters enough for you to quit drinking sooner? As any problem user or alcoholic, there is no easy answer. The truth that is that unless you have struggled with highly addictive behaviors, it's almost impossible to explain. It is an addiction, an obsession, a habit, a way of life. And somehow you become convinced that the only life worth living is that one that includes using. Try to change that in anybody's mind. And although today's solution is about willpower, we call it, why can't you just quit solution? Because this is the question that hundreds of millions of family members, friends, and loved ones have asked these drinkers and users. Over and over, at the center of the answer of this question lies willpower, both as part of the cause and part of the solution. The truth about willpower. This is from somebody who went through the program, and his name is Matt. He said, I tried willpower to quit drinking on my own. I tried switching to lighter alcoholic beverages. I tried AA several times, but found the program too ambiguous. However, the 30-day sobriety solution was something I could sit down and do every night. And the homework not only helped to keep me on track, it helped me to get clear and understand how I was feeling and provided me with the tools and techniques to change. So this is it, people, staying with it with your journal writing and really going through it. We're getting to the root of your drinking, not just stopping and then having you suffer. No. In the 30-day program, you're going to create an aha moment for you. This is one of these days. Take a minute right now and think back of the times in your past when you decided to quit using or cut back and maybe had an embarrassing or frightening incident to your usage. Maybe you got sick and tired of the emotional roller coaster. Maybe your health gave out. Maybe you had a high confrontation with family or friends. Whatever the reason, you were ready to make a change, and this is where your willpower kicks in. The problem is that willpower alone will always find you. It's the motivation. What we were talking about, what Dr. Cindy was telling you about. Discipline. To understand first, you have to look at what you are feeling the moment you decide to make this change. Your decision always has a common theme. You're stopping or cutting back because you perceive that your usage is holding you back in some way of creating specific problems or challenges in your life. Or as we discussed on day 3, you associate more pain than pleasure with using, so you stop. The best way to explain this is by using a numbered rating system. So get your pens out. Imagine you wake up one morning feeling miserable from a heavy night of usage. Your head's pounding. You feel your blood pulsing in the veins in your forehead, making it hard to think clearly. Later that morning, your doctor calls you and tells you he's concerned about your blood work, that you're indicating you have some early signs of liver damage. At that moment, you feel disgusted with yourself. How could I have let this go so far? And on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, your desire to drink is at an unusual low of 2 after that phone call, and your concerns and fears about your health, suddenly they are at an all-time high of 9. Now, here's their numbers. Right now, with these initial ratings, it means that you have more pain associated with using than you do with not using. So you want to stay sober. You choose not to drink. And you do for several days. An internal shift starts to occur. The more distance you have from the reason you decided to stop using drugs and drinking in the first place, the further removed you are from the pain that led you to make the change. That's right. The more distance you have from the reason you decided not to use, the further removed you are from the pain that led you to it. A few days go by. In fact, the usage is in your system. It's out of your system because you've stopped. You're feeling healthier. Your face is shining. You're more clear-headed. And the pain that drove you to make this initial change is all but a distant memory. Now your desire to use is starting to kick in. You're like a well-fed flower. You're glowing. You're healthy. Your skin shines. But now your desire to use starts kicking in because your memories have faded of that doctor's phone call to you. And with the recent hiatus from using, your concern with your health has dropped. It was at a 9, but now it's at a 5. Okay? And at the same time, your desire to use, which was down to a 2 because you had a bad hangover and your calls from the doctors, that's risen to a 6. Now the weekend is approaching. How many people have done this over and over? This number is quickly escalating as you start thinking about all the fun you could have on the weekend while using. All the fun that you'll miss if you don't. This is it. This is the key. This is where your willpower really starts to show up or doesn't. Depending on how strong your willpower is, your sobriety may last through the weekend and beyond, or you might simply give in to the desire to use, restarting the whole vicious cycle again. That's right. My son, who doesn't care if I share this, has been through 90 rehab centers. 90 or more, probably more, I'm embarrassed to say. He's been on the coast, everywhere in California, all the way to Florida and states in between. And he still gets out, cleaned, and decides to use within days. Why? Why? After all of this top-notch help at all of these centers, why has he started to use? This is right, because willpower alone won't help you. When they let him out of the program, they did not deal with his dual diagnosis, his anxiety, his stress, his PTSD, his low self-esteem, all of these things that come from drinking. The reason he started at 16, the reason he started using fentanyl at the age of 17. Nevertheless, no matter how strong your willpower is, when there is a greater pain associated with staying sober, there you are drinking, using, and you will eventually give in to this desire. That's right, unless you've changed at a deeper and more fundamental level, which is what we're doing through this 30-day solution. That's right. Willpower can help initiate and sustain short-term changes, but without doing the other deeper work, your subconscious mind is going to go back to what it knows best. We all have limited willpower. It doesn't matter who you are, people. People who appear to have incredible willpower appear that way only because they have set themselves up on the inside for success. We're working on the inside, people, on the reasons you're using until you face them. You will never stop. What is willpower in your life? Think about something positive that you do well. Maybe drawing, maybe it's music, maybe it's eating healthier than others. What separates you from people who want to do these things but never seem to? You're nice and trim, and your friend is very obese. What separates you from them? Or you have people who you've quit smoking for 20 years and you have friends that are chain smokers. Willpower is certainly one power, but the key difference is your beliefs. Oh my gosh, Dr. Cindy will tell you this 100 times. What you think of yourself. Your thoughts create your life, your beliefs. And you've decided consciously or unconsciously that eating healthy equals pleasure, energy, longevity, and not eating healthy equals inflammation, pain, and illness. Most of us know this, but unless it's really deep inside, you'll forget that when the advertisement comes on and here comes the junk food calling you. When you go from not eating healthy to eating healthy, you often experience pain at first. The pain of eating foods you might not like as much. The pain of having to learn how to cook and prepare new meals. The pain of going out with friends and not being able to enjoy the same unhealthy appetizers and desserts as everyone else. That's right, you stand out. This is where using willpower is essential for your short-term success. However, long-term success only comes from truly changing yourself at that deeper level. And those who have successfully completed this transformation believe that eating healthy equals ultimate pleasure. The pleasure of having more energy, having a nice, trim, sexy body, having glowing eyes, having beautiful hair, the pleasure of looking and feeling better, the pleasure of feeling more self-confident. Now, this 30-day solution is about transforming yourself. I get so excited, Dr. Cindy, when I hear about all this stuff, because you no longer need willpower to stay sober. Sobriety should not be difficult to achieve and maintain, at least in the long term. See, in the long term, you can do it. You got to deal with that short-term suffering, that short term that we're changing our thinking and changing our life. Everybody taking a deep breath and start to relax. Sobriety should not feel like a sacrifice or a curse. It should simply be a choice. And you make it because it's what you want. You want to make up for the past. You want to have your life and your friends. You want to have those dreams come true. However, if you keep trying to quit and stay sober by using willpower alone, you're always going to fail. Remember what Dr. Cindy says, what the monk said on that one video she watched. Motivation will get you so far. Willpower will get you so far. It's about a discipline. When you get up and you write your book for 30 minutes a day, you'll have a book written in a year. When you get up and you exercise every day, you'll have a banging body within months. When you get up and you stop the drugs, you'll have a clear head and a peaceful life and a wonderful inside. So don't get us wrong. You need willpower early and often on your path to sobriety. We're going to use it, but we also have to diligently continue to do that inner work to get to know this character called you. There's so much to you. You make sure that you can overcome the urges to use when the willpower alone stops working. Like that quote from Rick Warren in The Purpose-Driven Life at the start of this chapter bears repeating. Willpower can produce short-term change, but it creates constant internal stress because you haven't dealt with the root cause. And we're going to do this for your subconscious mind. I will be giving you meditation, hypnotherapy sessions throughout this program. And these are at the end of some of your chapters, or I'll make separate ones. And you can use these because these are what really help you to change. When you use my internal visualizations, my trance work, which is just hypnotherapy, it's a really way to focus and get your subconscious mind, which is the engine of your behavior, to change easily. If you've experienced a significant emotional trauma in your childhood, to some degree, this is probably one of the root causes of your desire to use. When you do the personal work necessary to heal from this past pain, such as the total truth process that you learned on day 4, you are dealing with the root cause. Doing this inner work is what makes long-term positive change a reality in your life. We have seen many high-functioning users stop for 30 days simply by leveraging their remarkable willpower, only to falsely prove to themselves and to the others, look, I don't have a problem. Not only do they not do the personal work, like my son who went through 90 programs, but to get to the root cause, but they actually spend a great deal of time during those 30 days thinking about and planning in detail when, where, and how much they're going to drink on day 31. So first action step today is to explore the role of willpower in your past attempts to stop drinking. Get into this, people. Figure yourself out. Answer the following questions in your journal. Have you previously tried to quit or change your drinking or using without success? Without seeking, let me say it again. Have you previously tried to quit or change your drinking without seeking any help or using outside resources? If you did, how did it work? Write down as best you can remember the past times when you stopped without support or without also doing the inner work. Address specifically how long you stayed sober. Think back at the treatment centers. Think back at the churches. Think back at the people you talked to. How you experience changed day by day. How your experience changed. And if you return to using, what happened? The awareness you gain from this exercise is often results in greater willingness to do the personal growth work necessary for long-term change. There's no way to get out of it, people. You got to go deep, deep, deep. Now here's the willpower illusion, and we're getting close to the end of this chapter because Dr. Cindy doesn't want to keep you forever, okay? Now, the willpower illusion, depending on where you're drinking on the continuum, willpower has likely created another challenge for you. It takes an incredible amount of willpower to ignore that you actually have a problem with using, to ignore all the problems that have occurred in your career, your financial life, your relationships as a result of using, and ignoring the fact that your using most nights will dramatically affect your health and shorten your life. We all know this. This is called the willpower illusion. Your drinking and using, drug-using mind constantly tricks you into thinking that using isn't the problem. And you can use at a normal level. And then you can quit whenever you want. That's your mind tricking you. Now, your movie moment. My heroes are the ones who survived doing it wrong, who made mistakes but recovered from them. And this is from Bono, the 22-time Grammy Award-winning musician. Wow, 22 times. Never knew that. So we'll say that again. My heroes are the ones who survived doing it wrong, who made mistakes but recovered from them. Oh my gosh. I want to say I can drink to that, but because I'm not a drinker, I'll just say I can have some iced tea to that. To really capture this, we want to share with you an analogy that we call the movie moment. Okay? Now think back, peeps, to that movie where you were really invested in the main character, one you could identify with, whose story you were really engrossed in. And then the character does something unbelievably dumb. Maybe he cheats on his girlfriend, who is clearly his perfect match. Or maybe he walks into a dark house ignoring many warning signs of danger. And you're hanging on. Or he lies about something that he has no chance of getting away with, making the situation even worse. Whatever it is, you might find yourself getting emotionally triggered. In your mind, or even out loud, you might yell at the screen, "How could you be so dumb and not see this was going to happen next?" You have everything you ever needed, and now you're throwing it all away. To you, the mistakes that they are making are obvious, but they seem oblivious to their poor judgment. Now, the question for you is, what is your movie moment? What would someone in the audience yell at you if he or she were watching you and your life and you were starring in this current movie? Or even more to the point, what would you be yelling at the screen if you were watching yourself in the movie? Would you be yelling about your drinking and how much it negatively affects your life? The goal of this process is not for you to feel ashamed or embarrassed, but to look at your life from a different angle and more neutral perspective, one that helps you free from any denial that might be holding you back. When you are an addict, I like to call it addictive behavior because you're not anything permanently. That's your past. Your mind is amazingly effective at creating the illusion that you don't have that problem. It's everybody else. It is no coincidence that the high-functioning users are the best at this. You know the people that drink but go to work, they cover it up for 20 years? Like my boyfriend's wife, she drank every day of her life until her liver gave out at 50, and now she's passed away. High-functioning drinkers pride themselves in being able to do the work that many others do, pushing through the challenges with their incredible willpower. Ironically, the same willpower keeps them from accepting their problem. Oh, it's an important point here. Ironically, the same willpower that keeps them from accepting their problem with drinking until they can no longer ignore it. Tragically for many, the realization comes too late. This is why I'm here, people. I want you to stop. I want you to get better. I want you to take those pieces of your life and live them. That's right, before it's too late. Your second action step for today is to act like you're watching a movie of your life that you're starring in. What about the character's actions or inactions upsets you the most? Is he or she clearly in denial? What if one of your trusted loved ones, such as a parent, a sibling, or a good friend or child, were to watch this movie? What would they say about it? If you could pick any person in the world to mentor you, but he or she had to watch the movie first, what would he or she see that you are pretending not to see? See? This is such a powerful exercise. You really want to do it. Our experience is that this exercise is more effective and powerful when you can relax and let someone else take you through it. So we provided a guided version of the movie exercise on today's companion website. Now we're almost getting to the close of all these great ideas. Willpower and the decision fatigue. In their book, Willpower, Rediscovering the Greatest Human Strength, psychologist Roy Baumeister and journalist John Tierney share an important study of willpower and the decision fatigue. After analyzing 1,100 decisions regarding prisoners' legal appeals over the course of 1 year, researchers uncovered a pretty amazing statistic. Prisoners who appeared in front of the parole board early in the morning received parole 70% of the time, while those who appeared late in the day received parole less than 10% of the time. After analyzing the data in all the cases, researchers concluded that decision fatigue affected the judge's rulings. Oh, wow. The mental effort necessary for deciding case after case simply wore down the judges as the day went on. That's an important point. This is relevant to your using drugs and drinking because most people drink at night, even though many of their day planning, they plan not to drink. When the evening comes, they're tired, their willpower drops, and their fatigue kicks in. Your third action step for today is to think about how your willpower fades as your day goes on and decide how you're going to avoid decision fatigue and successfully complete this 30-day program. Now, we have two options that work well. The first one is to decide that from now on, you'll begin your day by reading the day's solutions. That's right, people. Stay in it and doing the action steps before decision fatigue has time to set in. This is why we're saying stay on this daily. If for any reason that is not possible, the other highly effective approach is to read the solution and do the action steps immediately upon getting home from work. That's right. You do it in the morning. You do it upon getting home from your day. That time when you would normally have a drink and start in. The comparison game. Despite all my education and knowledge about addiction, when it came to looking in the mirror, I could only let in the information that confirmed I didn't have a problem. Once I changed this, everything started changing. And this is Byron, okay? Have you ever looked at someone and thought, I don't use as much as they do? Or I might use occasionally, but I'm not an alcoholic or a drug addict. Or look at what great person she is. Only if I had her life, all my problems would be solved. Comparing yourselves to others is a sobriety killer. This brings us to your fourth action step. When you compare yourself to others, you get caught up in focusing on your differences rather than your similarities. And often these differences go something like, I don't have a problem with drinking or using. Look at how much Jen or Eric drinks. When you focus on the differences, you stop noticing the similarities. You tell yourself, I'm different. I can quit at any time. I don't have a problem. In fact, the common scenario in recovery is that someone will go to rehab and be surrounded by alcoholics and addicts who are much further down the path of addiction than they are. And so the person focuses solely on those differences and leaves rehab believing that they must have a problem and I don't. In David Sheff's book, Clean, Overcoming Addiction and Ending America's Greatest Tragedy, the Dr. Michael, the co-founder of the Center for Progressive Recovery in New Haven, Connecticut, says, less severe people say that rehab made them feel their drug use was not that bad when compared to others in rehab, and this comparison led them back to using. When you focus on the similarities instead of the differences, you are less likely to get caught in denial. If you look for similarities, you can hear parts of your story and everyone's stories. And that simple change has a profound impact on your awareness. You can see better the greatest challenges which greatly help you to quit or cut back on drinking and using. So the next time you hear yourself saying that so-and-so is so different, change your point of view and focus instead on what you have in common. Problems. Laugh out loud. Now, you're always going to see people better off or worse off than you on the continuum. Even though you're unique and your story and journey are different from everyone else's, you can embrace your individuality without getting caught in their illusion. And those differences mean you don't have a problem. We have seen clients, friends, and even our own family members get stuck in this self-delusion. Everyone has to get over it in order to proceed with recovery. Everybody take in a deep breath. That's right. Okay, we're going to go quickly over your action steps for today. And then I'm going to make a companion. After I take a little break from this, I'm going to make a companion for you. A nice hypnotherapy 15 to 20 minute session where you can just relax and deep breathe and feel better. This will help you with your willpower. Whether you have willpower or not, you have to be willing to change and not rely on your willpower to get you through the 30 days. Because as we say, willpower got you addicted, and willpower will not alone keep you unaddicted. Some people have willpower and they don't. Others don't. But they use the program and they are disciplined. And you have to be willing to change. Let yourself be open to the information I am giving you. Make time every day to do your action steps. This is doing your program. You're not even having to go to a meeting. You're not having to meet with a therapist one-on-one, because here I am, baby, and I'm giving it to you. I decided with COVID, with this division in politics, I want to start doing things that are going to help people. That are going to help them to overcome themselves. That's right. Just reading about the solutions won't get it done. You have to get into it. Just like reading about dancing won't teach you to be a good dancer, or reading about music. Okay? You can't get wet reading about the ocean. And you have to stay dry just reading about sobriety. You can't stay dry just reading about sobriety. Don't let your willpower convince you that all you need is 30 days of sobriety to cure yourself. If you don't change on the inside, 30 days will not be any different than all the other days. You will also become the person you have secretly dreamed of becoming, your true self. Think about that. Everybody taking a nice deep breath. You're steadily transforming yourself into someone who can fully embrace all of life and thrive in society. That's right. Now, make sure you refer back to the earlier steps. Look at your journal if you need to. Write down in your journal today what role willpower has played in cutting back or stopping using. Now, write down your movie moment. What bothers you the most about your actions or inactions as you watch an imaginary movie of your life from the perspective of an unbiased third party? Is it your character clearly in denial? That's avoidance about the negative impact of drinking. Or I got stuck on or, okay? Let's go to the next. To really achieve a breakthrough in this action step, we highly recommend you listen to the guided version on the companion website. Decide how you go to avoid the negative impact of the decision fatigue. What can you do differently when your willpower weakens through the day? When will you read the day's solution and do the action step? Is there something self-nurturing you can easily do at the same time you used to start drinking, like going for a walk? Doing something that's stupid and fun? This is what we use in hypnosis when we're asking somebody to stop drinking or stop eating or too much or stop over procrastinating. Do something that's fun. When you're feeling weak and you're going to go back to your habit, a few deep breaths help. The tapping method helps. I have it online. You just have to look it up. Get out of the comparison trap. That's right, because when you compare yourselves with others, you can really get into that denial that, well, they're really, really heavy drinkers, but, I still have a job, or I still look good, or, I still have friends, or, and it's all denial. We're all the same. Can we all take, take a deep breath of that? We are all the same. We're people. We have all the same emotions. We hurt when we're given physical pain or mental. We cry, we laugh, we smile. We're born, we die. We're like everybody else. We're all connected. So when you're comparing yourself to others, that's a trap. Now, do you regularly compare yourself with others? Oh, look at them, but I look younger. Oh, look at them, but I'm trimmer. Oh, look at this person, but I have more degrees. I'm more of a specialist. And on and on. Okay, comparing yourself with others. You have to be completely honest here. This is about going from the inside out, peeps. Now, as always, there's an additional support, which I've been referring to, and this will be on http://day8.solutions. Including our top tips for building your willpower and the guided version of your movie moment. These are all the tools for you today. I love you. I know you can do this. You're so awesome. You're the best person I ever met. Namaste.